Let's be real for a second. We've all been there. You're at a hotel or a restaurant, and the service just feels, well, off. And you start to wonder, what's going on here? Well, it turns out it's usually not just about one person having a bad day. See, the entire hospitality industry is grappling with this huge, deep-rooted people problem. And today, we're going to dig into what that really means and what, if anything, can be done about it.
I mean, it's that classic sinking feeling, isn't it? You show up, your reservation is nowhere to be found. Or you've been waiting what feels like an eternity for your food. Suddenly, that relaxing night out you were looking forward to is, well, it's just stressful. But here's the thing. These aren't just random, isolated mistakes. Nope. They're actually symptoms of a much bigger systemic issue that's putting some serious cracks in the foundation of the whole industry.
So, what's at the heart of this? Well, the industry is getting hit from two different directions at once. First, you've got a skill shortage. That's pretty straightforward. There just aren't enough skilled people out there to hire for all the open jobs. But then there's the second problem, the skill gap. This means that even the workers they do have on staff often don't have all the right skills needed to do their jobs really well. So it's a crisis of both numbers and ability, quantity and quality.
Okay, so you might be thinking, that sounds like a management problem, not my problem. But how does an internal issue like that actually spill over and affect you, the guest? Well, let's connect the dots. We're going to break down exactly how this people problem becomes the frustrating experience nobody wants.
Right. And this isn't just one isolated thing going wrong. It's more like a domino effect. Seriously, a lack of skill in one spot puts a ton of pressure on another area, which then bumps into another, and poof, the whole thing starts to collapse. We're going to look at the 6 big dominoes that are toppling over across the industry right now.
All right, let's get into the anatomy of this crisis. What are the 6 core challenges that are really causing all this trouble? Let's take them one by one.
Okay, number 1. This is probably the most obvious one, the one that you and I feel immediately as customers.
And that is a major decline in service quality. I mean, it makes sense, right? When the team isn't trained up, that's when you get the super long waits, the wrong food brought to your table, and that just inconsistent vibe where one visit is great and the next is a disaster. And what happens then? You get unhappy guests, brutal online reviews, and of course, people just don't come back.
All right, on to the second domino. This one shifts our focus away from the guest for a moment and looks at the folks who are actually working there.
We're talking about a huge spike in employee burnout and turnover. Think about it. When you're short-staffed, who picks up all the slack? The people who are still there. They get overworked, they get stressed out, and morale just tanks. This kicks off a really nasty cycle where good people quit, which makes the problem even worse for those who stay, which makes them more likely to quit. It's this constant, expensive merry-go-round of hiring and training.
And that brings us to number 3. Speaking of expensive, let's talk about the money. Because the financial hit here is, well, it's pretty big.
Yep, this is where operating costs just go through the roof. To plug all those holes in the schedule, businesses have to pay a ton in overtime. They have to hire expensive temp staff, and they're constantly spending money on that recruitment cycle we just talked about. And those costs don't just disappear. They chip away at the business's profit, and sometimes they even get passed on to you, the customer.
Okay, number 4 is a really modern problem. It's all about the tricky relationship between hospitality staff and technology.
And here's the crazy part. Hotels and restaurants will spend a fortune on fancy, high-tech systems for reservations, for billing, you name it. But what's the point if the staff doesn't know how to use them properly? That massive investment is basically wasted. Worse, it leads to things like booking mix-ups and incorrect bills. It just creates chaos and makes it really, really hard to keep up with the competition.
All right, let's talk about number 5. This one isn't about the frontline staff. This one goes all the way to the top. See, this skills gap we've been talking about? It's not just on the floor, it's in the manager's office too. When you have a shortage of really good, skilled supervisors, you get teams that are just not well managed. There's no one coaching them, no one helping them grow, and little problems can blow up into big team conflicts. And it's simple, really. You can't have a strong team without strong leadership. It just doesn't work.
And that brings us to our 6th and final challenge. This one is all about meeting the expectations of today's customer.
Because let's face it, guests today care about more than just a clean room and a good meal. They want to know that the businesses they support are socially and environmentally responsible. But here's the catch. A hotel can have all the best green intentions, but if the employees aren't trained on how to actually do the sustainable practices, the whole initiative just falls flat.
And that doesn't just disappoint guests, it can seriously damage the brand's reputation, especially if people start accusing them of greenwashing. Just pretending to be eco-friendly.
Whew. Okay, so I know we've just painted a pretty grim picture of the situation. But it is not all doom and gloom. It's not hopeless. So now let's make a big pivot. We're going to shift from talking about all the problems to looking at the real, practical solutions that can actually turn this whole crisis around.
And don't think of these as just little band-aids. This is more like a strategic toolkit. We've got 6 key strategies that, when they're all working together, can genuinely rebuild the industry's workforce and bring back that reputation for amazing service.
So what's in this toolkit? Well, it all starts with the basics, robust training and development programs. But it's more than that. It's about giving people real individual career paths so a job can actually become a profession. It means improving the employer brand, actually being a good place to work. It's also about using technology to support your people, not just replace them. Then you've got to partner with schools to create a pipeline of new talent. And finally, you have to plan for the future by actively developing your next generation of leaders.
And what's so cool is when you lay it all out, you see how elegantly it all fits together. For every single one of those 6 problems we talked about, there is a direct, targeted solution. Service quality is down? You fix it with better staff training. Employees are burning out? You fix it with stronger support and career paths. You've got weak leadership? Well, the answer is pretty obvious: leadership development. It's a really clear and powerful blueprint for how to fix this.
So when you put all these pieces together, the problems and the solutions, what does it all mean? What's the big takeaway here?
Really, it comes down to this one simple truth. All those problems that we feel as guests, the bad service, the mix-ups, the higher costs, they're just the visible symptoms of a workforce that's been neglected. So the only real sustainable way forward is to invest in the people. That's not just a quick fix. That's how you build a solid foundation that's actually built to last.
And that leaves us with one final question, and this one is for you. Whether you've ever worked in hospitality or not, just think about it for a second. Besides the paycheck, what's the one thing that would make you really want to build a career in this industry? The answer to that question? Well, that might just be the key to solving the whole puzzle. Thanks so much for watching.